The Israeli military pounded Beirut and Gaza on Sunday after what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said was an assassination attempt by Iran's proxy Hezbollah the day before. The army released video of what it said was an attack on Hezbollah's intelligence headquarters in Beirut on Sunday. Reuters could not verify the date and location of the video released. It comes as Hezbollah also continued to fire rockets into northern Israel through the weekend. On Saturday, an Israeli spokesman said a drone was launched at Netanyahu's holiday home. The Prime Minister was not there at the time, and it was not immediately clear if the home was hit. Netanyahu called it a grave mistake as Israel prepares to retaliate for an Iranian missile barrage earlier this month. There was no immediate comment from Hezbollah. In Gaza, Israeli bombardment killed more than 100 people across the coastal enclave, medics and Hamas media said. Most of the casualties came from strikes on a multi-floor building in the northern town of Beit Lahia. Promises by all sides to keep fighting have chilled hopes that the death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar on Wednesday might lead to truces in Gaza and Lebanon. Israel released footage on Saturday said to show the final moments of the Hamas leader before an Israeli tank destroyed the building he was in. Reuters was able to verify the location of the video, but not the date it was shot.
Civilian casualties have been far too high.
US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said in Italy on Saturday he wants more humanitarian aid going into Gaza as civilians struggle to survive. He also said the United States would like to see Israel scale back some of its strikes in and around Beirut. Although sources say with US elections approaching, Israel is looking to seize the moment and use intensified military operations to ensure its regional rivals cannot regroup before a new president enters the White House in January.
Moldovans cast their ballots on Sunday for their presidential pick and for a say in whether the country should join the European Union. It's a pivotal moment that could bolster the small agricultural economy's drive to join the EU, but allegations of election meddling by Russia have cast a shadow over the vote. As the war in Ukraine rages to the east, the former Soviet Republic has stepped up its push to escape Moscow's orbit and embarked on the long process of EU accession talks. Polls show pro-Western incumbent Maia Sandu has a comfortable lead over her 10 rivals on the ballot, although the race could go to a November 3rd runoff if she fails to reach the 50% threshold to win outright. Sandu urged people to vote as she cast her ballot in the capital, Chișinău. I voted for Moldova to be able to develop in peace and freedom so that Moldova can build the future it wants and deserves, she said. Go out and vote. Every vote counts. Polls show a majority support joining the 27-nation bloc, though 5 of the candidates are against the referendum, which will decide whether to insert a clause into the constitution that defines EU accession as a goal. They accuse Sandu's government of timing the referendum to boost her election haul. Her main rival, Alexander Stoyanoglu, told reporters after voting on Sunday that he boycotted the EU ballot.
I do not support the position of the current government, which came up with this idea that's not related to the European Union itself. This is a referendum to change the constitution. But at the same time, I am a supporter of Moldova's European aspirations.
The country's ties with Moscow have worsened since Sandu came to power in December 2020. Her government has condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine and accused Moscow of plotting her overthrow. Meanwhile, police have said criminal groups and individuals with Russian backing were intent on disrupting the vote. They have reported actions ranging from bribing voters to back Moscow-friendly candidates to taking citizens for training in Russia to stage riots and civil unrest. Russia denies interfering in Moldova's affairs and accuses its government of Russophobia.
Cubans line up at a bakery in Old Havana, trying to make do without power. Most of the island's 10 million people still don't have it. State-run media says the national grid collapsed twice within 24 hours. We're used to enduring everything in life because we can't do anything else, says this man. On Saturday, the government said it's making progress in re-establishing service, including to hospitals and parts of Havana. The country's top electricity official said the grid operator was trying to boost capacity in the system to get several plants going. and bring power back to broader parts of the country. He did not directly confirm the second grid collapse, creating some confusion about what actually happened. Even before the collapse, an electricity shortfall forced the communist-run government to send non-essential state workers home on Friday and cancel school. For weeks, blackouts have been getting worse across much of the island, sometimes lasting up to 20 hours a day. The government blames deteriorating infrastructure, fuel shortages, and rising demand. Cuba does not produce much of its own crude oil, and this year Venezuela, Russia, and Mexico all reduced exports to the country. Officials say strong winds that began with Hurricane Milton last week complicated fuel delivery. Cuba also says the U.S. trade embargo and sanctions under former President Donald Trump make it harder to get fuel and parts to run its oil-fired plants. The U.S. is denied a role in the collapse.
Billionaire Elon Musk promised to give away $1 million each day until November's election to someone who signs his online petition pledging support for the First and Second Amendments. The first check went to an attendee at Musk's America PAC event in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania on Saturday, aimed at rallying supporters behind Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. The winner was a man named John Dreher, according to event staff. The First Amendment protects free speech, and the Second Amendment protects the right to keep and bear arms. The money is the latest example of the Tesla and SpaceX CEO using his extraordinary wealth to influence the tightly contested presidential race between Trump and his Democratic rival, Vice President Kamala Harris. But questions about the legality of Musk's cash payments abounded over the weekend, as election law experts pointed to various provisions in federal law that prohibited making cash payments to voters. It is a federal crime to pay people with the intention of inducing or rewarding them to cast a vote or to get registered, an offense punishable by prison time. Attendees of Saturday's event had to sign the petition, which allows America PAC to garner contact details for more potential voters that it can work to get to the polls for Trump. Musk, ranked by Forbes as the world's richest person, so far has supplied at least $75 million to America PAC, according to federal disclosures, making the group a crucial part of Trump's bid to regain the White House.